Welcome to Trail Manners, the podcast so dedicated to mountain trails and running that they broadcast out of a 78 Volkswagen bus in the mountains. Who does that? Eric and Joel are your hosts and will bring you the trail life as you may have not heard it before. You hear about everything from gear reviews, nutrition to keep you upright and moving forward, and they'll even bring guests into the bus for conversations that you won't hear anywhere else. It's time for some running adventures on a higher elevation. The old 78 Volkswagen bus is fired up and headed to the mountains. Here are your hosts for Trail Manners, proudly representing the 801 with their passion and love for the trails, Eric Manning and Joel Hatch.
Welcome to the Trail Manners Podcast, episode number 83. Today we got a special show here with the Ogden Trail Running Festival, and our special guest is Anna Frost. So if this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The Trail Manners Podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at trailmanners.com. Come back often, and please feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Trail Manners. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get after it. Okay, welcome back to the Trail Manners Podcast. We're just going to get right into it.
Okay.
It's a weekend of the Ogden Trail Running Festival, the first annual.
Finally.
Finally. Yeah, we've been talking about it for quite some time. And we've got a guest sitting in Studio 78 in the captain's chair.
Yep.
Anna Frost.
Hey, how's it going?
Great.
Thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
We're super psyched to have you sitting in the bus.
I know.
Yeah, I like it. It's awesome in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes me blush.
Aw.
It's
It
my
does.
bus. I love it. So well, thanks
baby.
for it is, and thanks for coming into town.
Yeah.
I know you were here
That's
for
great.
stuff too, but spending time with us last night at the film festival, talking to people, signing some shoes.
Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
And then today we get to spend a little bit of time in the park, some demo runs, meet and greet, and stuff like that. I know you're busy and you travel a lot, but thank you so much
Yeah.
for doing that. So let's just jump right into it. Let's give all our listeners, the like 2 or 3 that maybe don't know who you are,
Right.
or know the background about you, just a little
Mhm.
background, like where you came from, how you got into it, and that type of thing.
Yeah, so I'm from New Zealand. I grew up with a very outdoorsy family, so we were always out camping, out hiking, doing anything really, traveling a lot. We grew up in Papua New Guinea, so I was there till I was 5 years old. And then basically when we got back to New Zealand, it was just any sport and every sport that I could do to basically get out of class.
Nice.
'Cause who wants to go to school when you can play sports?
Yep.
But, you know, you have to hit certain marks. So, of course, I had to get back in the classroom.
Right.
But I focused mainly on field hockey, and that was from when I was really young till 25 years old. So I played hockey every night, every level I could find. And on top of that, I was also doing school triathlons, school harriers, school...
So what's a harrier?
Harrier is like a cross-country running.
Cross-country?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I got into university, I started doing a bit of triathlon, and then it really just fell in front of me. There was a national mountain running championship qualification race, and our club had to mark the course. So I said, okay, I'll go and mark the course. And then a friend said, well, why don't you race it? So I raced it, and I qualified for the world champs in Italy that year.
Wow.
So that was 2004. And I went to the race, and my eyes were wide open. I was just looking at everything. The mountains were stunning. I fell in love with the sport, with the idea that some of these people were following a global circuit and traveling from one race to the next race every weekend throughout Europe. And I just fell in love with it, and I wanted to be part of it. And so the next year I just packed my backpack with my tent and my cooker and a few running shoes, and then just went out there and traveled. And I'd go to one race and they'd say, hey, you should go to this race next weekend. It's awesome. And I'd say, okay, well, get on the train and get there. And so it was great because it really combined my passion for travel with running. And the beauty of running when you go to a new place is that you discover somewhere so much easier and quicker because you can run there. So I really feel like it was a great partnership of my passions to be able to do that. And then it was just intrigue really that kept me going to more races. I wanted to see what was around the next corner. I wanted to see what was over the next mountain. And there's so many races out in Europe that are
Right.
20 kilometers, 40 kilometers, 50 miles, and then in America more so the 100-mile races. And the Salomon team were all doing these sort of races, and I would go along as crew or pacer, and I'd see them go through this, and I wasn't really excited about what I could see. 'Cause it looks awful. But I was intrigued. I wanted to know if I could do it and what it would feel like and what I'd go through. So really it was just that intrigue that has kept me moving from distance to distance.
Right.
So how old were you when you first started? Like you said, you got your backpack and kind of jumped on trains next race. About how old were you at that
Yeah,
point?
I guess I was 24.
Okay.
Okay.
I started doing that, yeah.
Nice. And so it's just kind of evolved from there, really.
Yep. So it's really just been a nice progression, and I think that's the beauty for me is that I've got now 13 years of racing progressively under my belt, that I feel like when I go into these longer distances, I've got a lot to draw on, a lot of experience of bonking or going too fast or going too slow, or how it feels when I'm out there.
So what was like you talked about the different distances. Do you have a distance that's like your favorite?
Your go-to?
Your go-to, like...
I mean, I really love 50 miles.
Yeah.
I really love that distance, but pretty much anything on trails is great. I really like vertical kilometers as well, which is much more popular in Europe than America. And they're anywhere from like 3 kilometers to 7 kilometers in distance, and then a vertical kilometer gain.
Yeah.
And they're just brutal, but they're
Right.
so fun. They're over really quickly.
Yep.
At the time, you're like, oh my
You
gosh, am I
suffer
even going to
hard.
get there?
Yep.
You suffer hard, yeah, but you're done. And that was the beauty in Europe when I was traveling, is I could do a vertical K on a Wednesday night, and then a mountain run on Saturday, and then another race on Sunday, and repeat that the next week. And
Right.
there's a big circuit of people that do exactly that.
So you kind of run across or see the same individuals week after week.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'd
Kinda.
always said it was like a meandering family, that we'd sort of, come to and fro from one race, and then we wouldn't see each other for a week, and then we would, or we'd travel together and go camping in the mountain, and then get put up in a nice hotel for the race and clean up and wash our clothes in the bathtub. And yeah, so it was really fun. Yeah.
So we're going to talk, because we have a lot of listeners that ask questions for us, right? So
We do.
one of the things we want to talk to you about, just with your background and how you got into it, just kind of like people that are either transitioning from maybe a road to a trail, or just want to get into trail running, because it's really taking off, especially
Yeah.
with social media. People see the photos and like,
Exactly.
oh, I want to get in the mountains.
Yeah.
What would you say to people that are just starting the trail running scene, like they want to get into it? What are some good tips for them?
Yeah, I think definitely it's being patient, because you're not just going to get strong ankles in one run. You're not going to get good proprioceptors or good confidence on the really technical stuff in one run. You need to give it time, and you have to appreciate that running a half marathon on road is completely different to running a half marathon on trail. So I mean, you can easily double your time when you go to a trail.
Right.
And that's a really important thing to remember, so that you don't get really disillusioned right in your first, even if it's a 5K, you can expect to do a double time than your 5K road. I think shoe wear is really, really important, because to go out on a trail on your really soft road shoes, I mean, you can get injured immediately from that. So, and I know that when I started running in shoes that had a lot more grip on it, my confidence increased, so I ran better. So that was, it's like a positive cycle. And I think the consistency is getting on the trail more than just once a week, just
Right.
to get used to it, to get your confidence, to get your fitness, because you're always moving your body so differently out there.
Right. Right on.
So is that kind of what when you started doing it, did you just kind of jump right into it? Did you have any like growing pains through it as far as figuring it out, or because you had such a background, you just kind of got into
really
it?
solid athletic background.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because I'd played hockey my whole life, I was pretty agile. I was
Right.
strong, because you have to be for field hockey.
Yeah.
And I'd played a lot of sports my whole life as well, rowing, triathlon. But for sure, when you get on trails, it is different. Your
It is.
ankles are all wiggly. And
Right.
so, yeah, there's definitely the twisted ankles, and then
Right.
you twist it again, and you let it recover, and you twist it again. And
Did you say you skied too when you were growing up? Did you ski?
no,
though?
I
Okay.
didn't ski.
Because I think a lot of people that either grew up skiing or snowboarding kind of are like an advantage at that point, because
Yeah.
they're kind of like picking that line down the hill
Yeah.
like they would with their skiing, and they're keeping their hips square with the fall line as well.
Yeah.
I think those people kind of have just a slight, I don't want to say advantage, but They just kind of
Easier transition.
Yeah, the easier transition. They understand the flow of going downhill or even
and
going
I think
across.
They're used to looking ahead.
Exactly.
Because it's so easy just to be like, oh gosh.
Yeah,
Looking
exactly,
right at your
right?
feet.
Yeah, you're not picking out your line if you're looking straight down at your feet. Yeah. The same with like having that athletic background. So if it for a field event, soccer, field hockey, you're constantly, you want your eyes up, right? You don't really looking down, and you're picking out the flow. You're going to the empty space, or you know what I mean.
And you're always thinking ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right? You got to think of the next.
Where are you going next?
Where
Right.
am I going? Where's the pass where I need to be, as opposed to what's happening right now? And that's
Right.
huge. I mean, you don't really like. I never really picked that up when I first started trail running, but you need to look way down the trail.
Yeah, you do.
You know,
Right.
Do I need to take 5 steps before I hit there? 2 steps?
Yeah.
Can I jump it?
But once you do that same trail over and over again, you get that rhythm, right?
Mhm.
And if you don't hit your rhythm, it just kind of messes that run up a
Yeah.
little bit, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing, because we have some listeners, and one of the things that kind of goes along with the getting into trail running is getting into it too quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Because we talk about it on our show a lot, is the fear of missing out. Like
Oh, yeah.
people that
Yeah.
want to go to this race or go to this, fun run or destination, but okay,
Right.
I've never run 25 miles, but I need to do that.
Right.
So I'm going to do it. What kind of advice would you have to somebody that's doing too much too fast and maybe gets
Right.
burnt out?
Yeah.
Or gets hurt.
Yeah, injury.
Yeah. I mean, I think I always say to people, you've got to summit your own mountain.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all do it. I do it. I look at what other people are doing it, and I'm like, oh, I should do that. I want to do that. But do I actually want to do it? Do I actually need to do it?
Ooh, good point.
Or am I happy just doing a 5K race and
Right.
getting better at my 5K race? Even if I'm not doing a better time, I can hold better form for that time. Or
Right.
maybe I'm going to try and do a hillier one. Or maybe I'm going to travel and go to a 5K race somewhere else. Just because it's fashionable to do 50 miles or 100 miles, it doesn't mean you have to do 50 miles or 100 miles.
Right.
If you love 10K, 20K, 5K, 1K, then do that and see that as your own mountain, and that you're nailing your own mountain.
Right.
That's really good. I like
Yeah.
that.
I like it.
I think it's something we could all take.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and I have to remind myself of that too, because I'm like, what do I want and what am I doing? And
Right. So when you say that, when you do that 5K and you want to hold better form, so what do you mean by that? Like mechanically, you want to be more efficient?
Yeah, and you can work on your technique. You know,
Right.
your
Is that something that you kind of consciously do?
I do, yeah, and I think we all have to do it always, because as our bodies change, we get muscle imbalances without even knowing. And I quite often, do a run saying, okay, I'm going to really focus on my technique and try and feel this out, try and figure out how am I going to get that little niggle out of my lower back. What can I do
cues
with my body?
use?
I basically just move one thing very slightly,
Okay.
and run for a bit like that and see if it takes the weight or pressure or pain out.
Right.
And if it doesn't, I try something else. And
Okay.
then when I get it, I'm like, aha, that's it. Okay, now try and focus on that. And it's your brain quickly disappears, and
Right.
then you have to bring it back and say, okay, now focus on that. What were you doing?
Okay. So outside of running, you do some cross training, right?
Yeah, and I think that's super important for everybody.
I saw a picture of you recently. You were kicking a bag very aggressively. Like
I've got
you-
this
you-
amazing kickboxing group that I
yeah,
go to.
You were kicking the crap out of that bag.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I love it. Takes out so much anger. I think
could
to
see it. I
any
could feel it
any
from
couple
500 miles
when
away.
your woman is like a little bit, she's a wee bit titchy, find her a kickboxing
titchy.
class to
I
go
like that.
to once a week at least.
Yeah.
Like your life is going to be incredible.
That's
I
awesome.
just love it. It's a women's group,
Right?
and they're all pretty angry at ex-husbands or something going on in their life.
All right.
And our instructor just tells us, just focus on him. Just put his head right there on that bag and just kick it.
What's your focus in the class?
Oh, well, it changes. Sometimes it's him if he's been an idiot that day, and I'll come back and I'm like, you're cool again. He's like, I love this kickboxing class. It's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's him.
Yeah, it's great. So, and the thing is, I always say to people that running is so straightforward, and
Right.
often
It's
as
very linear.
runners, we go, okay, we'll go biking. It's straightforward.
It's linear.
We go, oh, okay, we'll do some skiing. We go straightforward.
Right.
So to do something that's not straightforward is awesome for trail, because trail running is not straightforward. You're like bouncing all over the place, and the rocks are moving, and it's making your ankles twist. So to do some sort of cross training that's not straightforward, I think is really beneficial to us. In kickboxing, well, you're like getting your leg right up there and twisting all over the place. And I definitely feel my running improves when I'm doing exercise that's not straightforward.
That's so cool.
How did you get into that, or how did that happen?
I think I've always known that cross training is going to be good, because I can't run for a long amount of time of big distances of high intensity running.
Right.
My body just doesn't want to do that. My mind doesn't want to do that. I
Right.
want to do other things. So I've always done cross training, and that's because I love biking as well. I love swimming,
Right.
and I love going to things like kickboxing where you're challenging yourself. You know, you're not the best anymore. The instructor is completely killing you with her when she's punching you and you've got your bags up, and it's really good to be challenged like that.
It is.
And so I think I've always appreciated doing it, because I can focus then more on my running when I go running.
Right. Do you have a sweet spot for
On the
like
back?
mileage?
Oh. I thought you meant
We'll
on
get to
the
that too.
Right.
Yeah, right
Eye
there.
level.
Chin.
Right there.
Yeah.
She's imagining me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like right there.
Yeah.
Right on your gray beard.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Just usually
Exactly.
there.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So do you have a sweet
Sweet
spot
spot.
like for mileage where everything is just clicking? And if you go up maybe a little bit too much above that, then you
In
feel
my training, you
yeah, you
mean?
feel
Yeah.
everything just kind of like blah, like you don't recover as well.
Yeah, you know, I don't wear a watch, so I don't ever know how far I've gone. I just know how long I've been out there.
Okay.
All right, let's go off of that.
Yeah.
Like time.
So time. So generally speaking, I can do a 6 to 8 week block of
Right.
really hard training of 6 to 8 hours a day.
And so is that all, that 68 hours, is that all time on your feet, or does that include time on your feet and kickboxing and
yeah,
recovery?
exactly. It could be that too.
Right.
So it might be I go for a 4-hour run.
Right.
I do a 1 hour kickboxing session, and I do 1 hour of yoga or something, or
Right on.
swimming or something. But then if I'm focused on something like hard rock, then I'm definitely doing most of those days on my feet.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you incorporate some recovery, like body work, massage?
Yes, I try to. With the traveling so much, it's often hard to find someone
To
that's
find the person,
exactly.
right? Your
Yeah.
guy. We got our guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I love that because they know your body
Yep.
and they remember, like, oh, so last week your calf was tight. How's
Exactly.
that today? Oh,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
much better. That's good. So let's work on there. And yeah, I've got my guys that I have in New Zealand and Dunedin
And here, right?
and in Durango.
Right.
But
But
like,
when you go to China, you're like,
yeah,
don't touch me.
Yeah, you're like walking in there and you're like, wow, I'm a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chickens hanging.
Yeah. Is that a yak's head over there? Wow, where's the rest of it?
Yeah, exactly.
That was for dinner.
That was
yeah,
right there.
I had that last night. Okay.
Oh,
That's the
yak,
rest of it.
That
Yeah.
yak penis joke is
Yeah.
just it won't go
Oh,
away.
you're
I
gonna,
know.
if you missed
It's
that
gonna
one,
haunt me
that's a good
forever,
one.
isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, if you're wondering about the yak penis joke, just ask us on the side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great story from the film
Yeah, it is.
It
festival.
wasn't a joke. It was
Yeah.
well made, too. That's the saddest thing.
So you talk about the travel. How does that? Because there's a lot of I'm gonna say most, but a lot of people, you live in a certain location.
Yeah.
Right.
You work there and you train there, so you
Yeah.
have routines.
Mhm.
With you,
You
it's
live
a
in
total
two
opposite.
locations,
Yeah,
basically,
there's
right?
no routine.
And so there's no routine.
Mm.
How difficult is that when you're trying to train or prepare, when you don't know where you're going to be, what your
Yeah.
facilities are going to be like, what
Right.
your options are?
You
How
never know if you're
difficult?
going to be in the bus talking to two dudes.
Yeah.
just
right?
out of the
Yeah,
blue, some
exactly.
creepers and
Yeah.
Whole
In the
crew.
parking lot.
We
Yeah.
come here, little girl. We got candy and LaCroix.
No, we just had lunch with her, so we're
Yeah.
we're close now.
Yeah.
Joel says we're BFFs now.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't say that.
you did last night.
Well, I did actually.
Okay,
say that.
cool.
No, this morning I said that when we were running.
Yeah. So yeah,
Oh,
how do you like manage that? Is that how difficult is that?
I guess I've just learned to live with the idea that I don't have routine, that I don't have balance, and be okay with that. And sometimes, like example, before Hard Rock or before Transvolcania, when I'm really, really focused on a race, I tend to go there and stay there for like the 6 to 8 week block of training that I have. So then I know what I'm doing. I know where I am. I'm specific. I can get on the course. I know every rock.
Right.
And that's how I like to prepare for a race. I like to know exactly what's happening out there.
Right.
And I like to build a relationship with the mountain, with the course, and with the people that are out there. And with the culture, because so often, we're so busy that we jump on a flight, we get to a race, we do the race, we leave again the next day. And, I mean, you barely even know where you were, which country you were in, or who even the race director was. And for me, it's really important to go on a course and to help mark the course, or, get to know the race organizers, do some media for them, because, it's because of them that I'm there doing that.
Right.
So it's important for me to give back to what the race is giving me as well. Okay. So usually if it's a really focused race, I'll have that time there beforehand to really get a routine. And the routine might be, I might be living in the back of my car, but I'm parked at some amazing trailheads and I know where I am, and I'm in the back of my car at least for the 6 weeks. So it's the same mattress and the same sleeping bag. And
you get a routine then during that lead up to the event.
Yeah. So and I really love that, and it's I guess it's sort of the traveler in me that I don't mind doing that.
Right.
But for sure, when you are traveling from one place to the next, you've got one suitcase, and like now I've got stuff to go to China after here, which we're going to high altitude. So I've got my puffy jackets, my big hiking boots, and then I'm going to Europe for Zegama, and then to Madeira for the race out there, which is like on the beach. So I've got bikini, I've got my sleeping bag, I've got everything,
snowshoes, bikini.
Yeah. It's, so when you're packing, you're like, oh my gosh, this is complicated.
So when you go to China, are you guys going there for an event, or is it for something else?
Yeah, so we're doing, it's an organized fastest known time attempt. So there's 5 women, 5 men, and it's on a mountain called Kuzu. It's 6,100 meters high at the top.
Wow, that's almost 20,000 feet.
Yeah. We start at 5,000 meters, and it's basically 7 kilometers up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then down again. So at halfway, you change out of your running shoes, you put on hiking boots. And crampons, harness, tethered to a rope, and then you get yourself up to the top, turn around, come back down, and then come back down again. So it's completely different to what I've done before. I've never been that high. So it's more about the experience in the race for me.
There's that race up in Washington that's like that this year. What's that called? Baker. Is it Baker?
Mount Baker?
Is it? No. It's Baker.
I don't know.
Baker is north of Seattle. It's up in Bellingham. Mount Baker Marathon, I think it is. Same thing, where you got to run up, and then you get up on the glacier, and you go up, and maybe to the summit, and you come back down.
That sounds fun.
So how long are you going to be there to train for that? Since that's something that you haven't done.
Like only 5 days before the race.
Holy cow!
Yeah, so it's short. It's a shorter acclimatization.
How do you do elevation then?
Pretty good.
Yeah, you acclimatize pretty fast.
Yeah, I think I do, and I've had a lot of experience up there now, and I spend most summers high up in the mountains, camping at the trailheads, and just running up to high peaks every day. So, and then I try to go to the Himalayas every year for a month or 2 months. So, that's pretty high up there too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'll go to the Himalayas for a month too. I like to go to St. George for a day or 2 a year.
Nice. The thing I love about going to the Himalayas is that it brings me back to reality. To simplicity, to gratefulness, because the people out there, they don't have anything, and they're so happy and so loving and so giving. And giving, I mean, like they will invite you into their house, they'll cook you dinner. They won't take money from you. They don't want you to pay for it. They just want your presence. They can't talk to you. They can't speak English, but they're so giving and loving like that. And they have one set of clothes, and that's all they need, and they have one little house, and that's all they need for their 10 children and grandma and granddad, and it's a beautiful culture and feeling to be around, and I like that every year that I can go, okay, I don't need anything, I can really reduce being like, sometimes you're shopping around and you see something that's pretty and you're like, oh, I'll get that. And
I know.
You don't need it.
This new watch right here.
Yeah. You don't need to know time. I mean,
no.
Yeah.
Over there
or
you
your
go.
heart rate.
No.
Or
So
your
do you go to
elevation.
the same spot in the Himalayas every year, or you kind of like bounce around?
Yeah, I bounce around, and there's a lot of events out there, different events like stage races, which are always fun, and there's different valleys that I like hiking through. So I usually go somewhere different.
That's so cool.
So do you have a travel manager?
You almost
or
need one, right?
is that what you do? You kind of
That's
have.
what I do in my time off.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That position was closed real fast.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Right?
Yeah.
You were-
I
I
just-
see where
Oh,
you're
you
going with
guys,
that.
No,
you're
he-
offering?
he
Oh,
was-
that's
he was.
fantastic.
I
Great.
like spreadsheets. I'm really good at
He's
blocking
good at spreadsheets.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, but I mean that's
I need
got
a
to
good
be.
spreadsheet in my life.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
That's all
we'll
you.
We'll donate the spreadsheet.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
So generous of
Yeah,
you.
right. But it's so much, especially with trail running, ultra running. People talk about that balance, and with you, you're saying your life is basically you don't have balance. You just
Right.
kind of. I mean, that still is hard for me to fathom. All the things that you
Yeah.
do, how you do it so well and consistently, but you're just I don't say spontaneous
But
because
how,
you're planned.
how often? So how much during the year are you actually grounded in, say, New Zealand or Durango?
Not very often. So, like, I say I'm based in Durango, but I think I've been there for like 12 days this year. And then New Zealand, I was there for 2 months at the end
Okay.
of last year.
So maybe 2.5 months out of the year.
Yeah.
You get like some consistency.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like, around Hard Rock, I guess I'm back in Durango, Silverton, trailheads of the area
Right.
for like those 2 months. And
So when you come back to do Hard Rock, because that's like your go-to race now, right?
yeah.
Do you have a vehicle here that's yours, or do you
Yes,
rent that
yeah.
for that time?
I had been renting, but I've got my own vehicle now, which
Okay.
is so much better.
Was it you that had problems with the rodents getting in the bottom?
Yeah, I
Eating
had a
stuff?
porcupine and it ate the whole bottom of the car.
Did you ever figure out how to keep them away?
Yeah, well, I did everything. I peed in a bottle and then
Right.
squirted it underneath.
And
the
it didn't
That
work.
didn't work.
Threw rocks at them. That didn't work. You can. Some people use bounce sheets.
Oh, yeah, dryer
that'd be a
sheets.
good
and
idea.
put them under there. Mothballs.
Oh yeah, those things stink.
Yeah, they really stink. And there's actually a spray thingy that you can buy now, which has got like coyote pee in it.
Wow.
So, but
I-
I just haven't gone back to that campsite where the porcupine was tormenting me all night.
I heard the other day somebody talking about this. And they said what they do is they put like peppermint oil, the actual oil on the bottom, just a couple drops, because
Yeah.
that's strong enough. It deters them from getting underneath there and munching on
It
stuff.
smells better than mothballs
It
too,
does.
right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, I immediately thought of you. I was like, oh, I should try that.
Yeah, I'll try anything.
Right.
Actually, yeah. I mean, we like pee in a line around the car.
Really?
Like
Setting up a
swapping around.
perimeter.
Yeah. We would take turns if we'd run out of pee to get around the car. Yeah. and make us
Pass me
swear
some
on
more
it.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Refill.
you! Come and pee on my car.
And everybody's like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
that
Somebody's
girl."
like, stay
Yeah.
away from her.
Oh man, she's so weird. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like my dashboard was like a Christmas tree. It was flashing. Everything was going crazy the
Wow.
next day.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's
Well, try that. Let us know if it works.
I will.
So that way, I mean, because we need to know. 'Cause, I
Yeah,
mean,
everybody needs to
right?
know.
Everybody
Yeah.
needs those little tricks.
Oh, and I'll put it in a little bottle and I'll sell it for like
There you
$100
go.
a bottle.
Yeah, just
know,
put
right?
some
And I'll give you guys
fancy
some
name on
commission
it.
for that.
Yeah.
Right, there we go. We're in.
I like
We're
it.
in.
Yeah,
We're
we'll
in.
take 5%.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Hard Rock. Last night at the film festival, you mentioned that was kind of a game changer at some
Yeah.
point where you kind of got your mojo back. You got your
Yeah.
love for it back. What is it? Because I mean, Hard Rock is kind of that in the trail running scene. It's kind of like the unicorn in a way where not everybody ever gets
No,
in.
exactly.
Right.
And so why do you go or whatever?
Yeah.
So what's kind of it mean to you, and what's the transformation you've had there?
I guess I met Hard Rock at the point when I was kind of looking for something, and like I didn't really know what that was. Was it that I needed to stop running and get a real job and get a real life and move on and do something else? And so I think when I found that, I was like, oh, I love this. I want to do this. So I need to keep running. And so it changed. I guess it gave me hope and more dreams again.
Right.
And it gave me a whole season of racing because, I like to race to get prepared for another race. And
Right.
if you're going to do it, you may as well do it. So, I think with Hard Rock, it was the mountains, the San Juan Mountains. They're incredibly beautiful, and I liked the idea that it was so remote. It was so extreme. You're not on like a highway trail. It's quirky. It's different. It's not open to all elites. It's got a very limited number. There's a lottery. The people that are there are amazing. All of a sudden, I felt like I'd never run a step in my life when I was meeting people like Billy Simpson, who had been there for his 10th year and 60 years old, and his sons had been there every year, and it was just like an incredible family feel. And I meet him out at a trailhead, and instantly we click and have the next 6 weeks of training together with his dog, and just so nice to meet these people from completely different worlds and different cultures, but to be like so close to them so instantly. And I think when you go to Hard Rock, whether you race, whether you volunteer, whether you crew or just take photos or just go out walking on the course, you can instantly feel that, and you can feel why people want to keep going.
Right.
Rock Horton, who's up at the Virginia's aid station, he's done his 10 Hard Rocks. He's now been at Virginia's aid station for 10 years. When you've got someone of that standard and level of 100 milers, you just feel like, I'm just a tiny little runner. I've never run in my life. This is amazing.
He's a good guy.
You can learn so much from those people.
Right.
And that's why I love it so much.
Nice. So we want to shift gears a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So just recently,
hot topic.
But I think it's a good topic and a big topic. So just recently, Kat Bradley went out and ran a race. And she won.
She did. The Canyons
100K in California. And she was first female.
Right.
Had
almost broke the course record, right?
What was she, 5th overall? Something like
or
close.
Eighth
overall.
Eighth overall.
And did really well. And she had a really nice, post, all right? That kind of talked about her experience crossing the finish line. Great photo of her laying. It was just iconic almost, really.
Line, didn't she? That was rad.
But it talks about just the equality in the sport. Whether it's prize money, whether it's sponsorship, whether it's the recognition after doing something that crazy good.
At the finish, the announcer did not stick around to announce the other top women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that really got under her skin big time.
Well, and I think it kind of brought more to light some other imbalances in the sport.
And it was kind of... Gina's article came out too from the Trail Sisters on I Run Far at basically the same time.
Yep.
So she had quantifiable data to show. Yeah. And then you have this, it's a true story, but it's like this anecdotal thing to follow that up with. Mm-hmm. So it's a super hot topic right now. And it's an important one. Yeah.
And so as long as you've been in the game, so to say, what's your take on that? What's your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that we're still battling with inequality. I feel like with the events of Kat's finish line, like it's a shame that there wasn't an announcer there to, clap to her and applause to her, but there was not an announcer there to clap or applause anyone. And I think we can't blame the MC for that.
Right.
This more goes back to our RDs, our race directors.
Right.
They need to get more on top of it. Who are the women? Who are the men that are racing?
Right.
And get a spreadsheet. Maybe they need to speak to you.
I'm in.
Get a spreadsheet. There you go.
That's my job.
Do that.
I'm in.
Straight up
and then the
spreadsheet
spreadsheet says their name, their number, what they've done, where they've been, who they are, so that any one of us, anyone, could be like, hey man, I need to go and pee. Can you just take over my MC for a minute? Because those MCs, they work hard, you know.
Do.
So they hand over the microphone and they give it to someone else who knows nothing about running.
Right.
But they can see the number coming in and they can read on their little spreadsheet, hey, it's this awesome chick. Like, look at her. She's killing it. She's crushing it. This is great. So I don't think it comes from the MCs. They do an amazing job. It must be a really hard job. But it goes back to our RDs. You need to have that planned. Like when you're a race director, you need to know who your women are. You need to know who your men are.
Right.
And like get it set out for success for everybody so that you don't have that sort of thing happening at the finish lines.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting because I remember the first trail or ultra race I ran. I was probably the very last person because they were taking the finish line down. Mm-hmm. But they still were there. But they had this is Eric Manning from North Ogden, Utah.
Is that Squaw Peak?
No, it was in Colorado. I can't even remember the race. It was a 50K, but it was kind of neat when you're crossing the finish line. And I was from out of state.
Know who you are.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, it's Eric Manning from North Ogden, Utah." It was my first ultra, so I'm already thinking, "Oh, this is kind of cool," you know. And I was probably near the very end of the trail. So I think you make a great point is there's so many of these, like how much I need an aid station, what do I need to do this, but you kind of look these little nuances that can make somebody's day.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And it's hard. It's really hard to be an RD. Like we
Yeah.
have to applaud any RD that's out there because it's a tough business. Yeah.
RDs,
nice
RDs
one,
today.
you guys. Good work. Yeah, it's awesome. But it's to overlook all of that stuff, and maybe we really need to say to those people at the finish line, hey, I didn't feel good about that.
Right.
Like you need to give them some ideas. Why didn't you have a spreadsheet?
Like constructive criticism.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But for sure, the equality with women's sport, it's still unequal. When I first started mountain running, there was a race we did. It was like 2008. The women all run shorter distances in those mountain races when they're at a World Grand Prix standard for mountain running. We got to the finish. We were on the podium. The women got up there. We got a bottle of suntan lotion and a dressing gown from the local hotel there. So we were standing there, and then the boys come up, and they're like, "Oh, and the boys, they'll get a whole crate of beer and $500." And
What?
so we just stand there as the girls. We're like, "Okay, well, we're not moving until you hand over the goods. So
Give me the beer.
we're not getting off here with this suntan lotion and
lame.
nightgown and no cash."
Did they
And
run the longer distance than you?
They did.
That's just crazy that that's still happening.
Yeah. So there was two things. Like we are more than capable of running the same distance
Exactly,
as the
right?
guys.
It happens. It starts in high school. At least here in the States it does, because
Yep.
they run
All
different
over the world.
distances, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then they're on the podium. It's so unequal.
Right.
And so we just stood there, and we actually said to the president at the time, we're staying here until you give us the equal prize. And they didn't agree. They didn't agree. And eventually they came out with a bottle of wine and some extra checks. And
Extra checks.
and we made a big deal of it. We were
Right
like,
on.
if you want us to race in these races,
Right.
which is giving you
Exposure.
the profile exposure, then you need to cough it up and sort it out. And it is getting better. I know the distances are still different. The women still do shorter distances.
That's crazy.
And I hope that changes eventually. But for sure, I think now, and I've actually read a couple of articles lately that are online about, okay, well, should women get 125% of the prize money? And I say, well, why would you do that? Because then the guys get less.
Right.
And then the guys are just going to get pissed off.
Right.
And the girls are going to be like, well, I just got more money than you.
Right.
So then we just got more inequality.
Yeah.
And then another post was that women would pay only 77% of the entry fee.
Right.
So that more women enter.
Right.
Well, I just think that's unfair.
Right.
Like, I
The
think
RDs still have the same fixed cost.
yeah,
the running
and the
the
women are
event.
still gonna drink
Right.
the same or
Yeah.
eat the same or
Run the
poop
same course.
same
Yeah.
on the toilets. Like, it's exactly the same. And so I think women and men should pay the same, and women and men should be paid the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I think we're aiming for equality in this world, and
Right.
so we should go with that.
Well, I noticed too that the URAY 100. It seems like just after that they changed
I
their.
can't believe they had
already they changed
that
their.
they had discrepancy in their prize playing between men and women.
Yeah, and they've changed it to make it equal now. Just
Okay.
after the last few
Right.
days.
Well, after
Oh,
Kat's
good.
article,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they made the biggest stink last year about, we're going to test athletes. If you come to our race and you finish in the top 5, we're going to test you for PEDs. But yet on the flip side, you're not
We're not
coughing
getting as
up
much.
and being equal to performance.
See, and I think it's one of those things where I honestly, I don't pay attention because I'm never in the prize money, so I could care less. They take my money, and that's all I expect, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But it kind of, when I was reading Kat's stuff and so I used to work with the Pearl Izumi Ultra team. I kind of helped manage that team, and we had men and women, and everybody was equal, right? They got the same amount of stuff, whether it was
Yeah.
gear,
Yeah.
money, whatever. It was
Yeah.
equal. Doesn't matter. So to me, it was weird to hear that so many places were that skewed.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and the other thing is, it's not a there's not a spreadsheet of like, this is how much an athlete will get paid, and so we don't really know how much
Yeah.
each other gets paid. So
Right.
it wasn't until I did the survey with the Trail Sisters
Right.
that I really realized that this was, like, when I saw the results of that, I was like, wow, I didn't realize that it was so skewed.
Yeah.
Right.
That it really was that bad, that women were getting still paid so much less than men.
Yeah, that honestly, it blew me away. Like I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I have two daughters, so it kind of pissed me off too.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
you know, I was
should.
like, I couldn't understand why. Because, like you said, if you pay the same entry fee,
right,
you're running the same course,
right.
Yeah.
What's the difference? You know, maybe one runs it faster, but if you're still first overall in your gender,
Yeah.
I was kind of frustrated, and the sponsorship thing didn't make sense to me either. And I've had a few internal battles with this.
Yeah.
Just for the simple fact that, to me, if you're sponsored by a company, and I won't name any names, but if you're sponsored by a company, it's kind of their job to promote you, right? You're their athlete.
Yes.
Right? So if it's a shoe, shoe spreadsheet or photo shoot, I mean, that's why they want you there, right? Whether you're male or female, they want you on their team or to represent their brand because of a certain reason. Right.
Right. You're good at running.
You're good at running.
Or now you're good at running and you got a good social media game.
Yeah. Whatever it is.
That's huge.
But whatever it is, it's their kind of job to help market that. So as far as the pay
or
goes,
help you be better at that.
Yeah.
Whether it's running or social media, whatever's the greatest. I hate to say it, return on investment for them.
Well, I mean, it is. I mean, we have to be honest. But at the same time, it's kind of their responsibility to promote that.
Yeah.
So for me, I just don't understand why there's that. It's so skewed in the dollars.
Well, and it could be a really empowering thing for brands to pay equally.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
start it from the brands up.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And that's why I think for me and just reading, and I've been really engrossed in this over the last week.
Right.
You know, with Gina, because we had her on the show, Trail Sisters, and then the Cats thing came out, and it's just really taken over because I would be pissed.
And I
like
hope
if my
it stays
kid, my
around for a
daughter,
while.
if my daughter did something and she didn't get equal, I don't care if it's like her 9-to-5 job or a race.
Right.
Yeah.
That would still piss me off.
Well, yeah.
You know, I just think it's ridiculous. So
It is.
you know, hearing you with like 2008 dealing with that,
Yeah.
Right.
and still having that issue is I just
Like 10 years later, 11 years later.
I don't
I
understand
think,
it.
generally speaking, though, I think trail running is pretty good. I feel like most race directors that are in trail running have the values and the essence of trail running,
Yeah.
which is
Right.
very pure, which is very honest.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, most race directors give equally because they know that that's important.
Right.
They know that, you know, if they've got women coming who are super competitive, they're going to be rewarded just as the men are.
Right.
And right now, especially, I honestly think that the women's races are more interesting than the men's.
Right.
I mean, they are stacked right
They
now.
are.
And it is awesome to see so many powerful women out there just crushing it, completely crushing it. And it's cool. It's cool for the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully all the RDs out there go, okay, yeah, I'm going to follow game with all the other guys out there
Right.
and, you know, make this equal.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, like we see from our side, we don't pay attention to that. Like just for fun, like we have a race today. It's a 7-mile race.
Yep.
Top male, top female get a Suunto Spartan watch.
Awesome.
Right? And second place, $100 cash. This is a 7-mile
Nice.
race. $100 cash.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Third place, $50 cash. But
Right.
like when I was looking through that, I never thought, okay, so for second place, the men get 100 and the women get
75.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, just to even
exactly.
think that,
Right.
I would feel uncomfortable.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
You can't quantify. You can't make it make sense. No matter what
No.
you say,
No.
it's
You
not
can't
gonna
twist
make,
it
No.
anyway for that to
It's
square.
like, well, you know, there's more men in the race, so the funds are coming in this. I mean, you can't twist
No.
it to where
No.
someone's going to go, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's more
exactly.
like, no, you're kind of an ass.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, but it is, and I think it's great. The way Kat approached it was well thought out.
It was well written.
It was well written, eloquent. It wasn't
Yeah.
like it was just like one of these bashing things.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it, and like Joel said, I hope it sticks around for a while.
I do
hope
too.
I hope it makes people stand up for a minute and go, yeah, you know.
But in a good way. You know, hope,
yeah.
hope we keep
Yeah.
getting stories of, okay, this race now is treating their entrants equally, right? That would be good to see. So we see those success stories keep coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I
it's
think so.
And it's people like Kat, you know, yourself, people just,
Like Gina, too.
yeah, Gina, what
Yeah.
she's doing, and she's touring the country right now. But
I know.
that's important to kind of let people know because, again, and I feel bad in a way because I never knew that because I just don't pay attention.
Right.
Because it doesn't affect me,
Yeah.
whether it's a man or a woman.
Right. Yeah.
And so now I'm like, oh, this makes
I think a
more
lot of people
sense.
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
happening in the trail world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew it was kind of happening in the general sense that women were getting paid 75
Less.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
25% less.
Yeah.
So, and I think you made a good point. Is a lot of times too, it comes down like sponsorship,
Right.
I mean, it kind of falls on these companies too to to start and say, okay, why aren't we equal?
Right.
And this is why we need to be, and this is what it's going to take to get there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I honestly believe that the men, whether it's a company-sponsored man, he would have no problem, making the same. It's not like it's the athletes.
Right.
No,
right?
exactly.
And I mean, you're going to ask for what you want, and you're going to negotiate your own thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a stance, like, okay, you're going to get, as a guy, you'll get this, and as a female, you're going to get this, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And your responsibilities are the same.
Yeah.
Right.
We want XYZ from you.
Yeah.
And you provide
And
us.
if you want to do less, then you get paid less,
Right.
whether you're a man or a woman.
Exactly.
It's not because you get paid less because you're a female.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just, I'm sorry, that still just blows me away.
No, you're getting riled up over
I am.
here.
I have 2 daughters, and I tell you what, if someone does that to them, I'll be knocking on your door.
Yikes.
That infuriates me.
So what's your thought on social media?
I love it and I hate it.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. I mean, it is wonderful for the brands, obviously,
Right.
for inspiration for us all.
Right.
We see great pictures of new places. We learn about different races.
Right.
It makes the world so much smaller and so much more acceptable for all of us.
Right.
And accessible, not acceptable. So
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. It makes it smaller, almost like it's tangible.
yeah, you can
Right?
see it and you can
Yeah.
go like, oh, okay, I'm getting that experience
Right.
from that person. You follow them on Instagram and you're like,
Right.
oh, wow, I feel like I've just been to Iceland. That was great.
Yeah.
So in some ways it's really good, but in other ways I feel like, and it goes back to that same thing, summiting our own mountains.
Right.
Because we forget what our own mountains are because we're so busy looking at everyone else's.
Right.
So I think, without that pressure, without, what have I done on my Garmin today, without the
Right.
Strava records, without all of that stuff, then maybe we'd be more in tune with our own running or with our own families or with our
Right.
own lifestyle. For sure, people are spending hours on
Right.
their phones
Just
now.
think about-
or-
I just had to put that quote in.
Okay.
I'm not going to forget that quote.
That's
Okay,
right.
good.
Isn't it crazy how much time we spend on it compared to? Think about when you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you're outside all the time doing stuff.
Yeah,
Kids
never
don't
on
do
the
that
phone.
anymore, right? I mean,
No.
they're just inside all the time.
They got the virtual mask thing they put on with their phone.
Oh
and-
my gosh!
You know what I mean? It's like they don't have to.
Frightening.
They don't have
Yeah.
to literally leave a seat
No.
to go anywhere they want to go.
No.
You
Yeah,
know
but
what
they're
I
missing
mean?
out on the real
Oh,
experience,
no,
right?
I don't look at me. I totally agree.
Yeah, so I feel like it's sad, but I have to remind myself, okay, it's a new generation. It's a
Right.
new world. Like this is where it's going.
That's how you reach them.
Yeah.
Right, in a way.
Yeah, and most runners are not very good at social media, and most runners don't want to be doing social media because they want to be out there running.
Right.
And so it's part of what we do as sponsored running.
Yeah.
As sponsored runners. So for sure, it's like I have to do that today, but I know that it's inspiring for
Right.
other people. It's inspiring for me, and so
It
it's
is.
worth doing it.
Well,
Okay.
could you imagine, like, just for a second, before Facebook and social media, as a runner, because
Yeah.
you see it every day now,
4 blogs.
you get back from your run and you start calling all your buddies and saying, hey, guess what I did today? I ran 5 miles and
Yeah.
12,000 feet of vert or whatever it is. And then you hang
Yeah.
up and
5
call the
miles.
next guy.
Yeah.
Because that's
be
kind of
great.
what it is.
It
Yeah.
is,
You know
right?
what I mean?
You
Well,
didn't do
but
that.
the thing is that you would have actually spoken to them.
Yeah.
Like there's
Exactly.
so many friends
Yep.
that I know exactly what they've been doing for the last 6 months, but I haven't talked to them.
Yeah.
Right.
And
True.
then you go back and you see them and you're like, hey, oh yeah, you popped out a baby. Yeah, I saw that. You've done this, you've done that. But usually you'd be like, hey, I'm pregnant. Oh, wow, that's awesome. We
Right.
love you, blah, blah, blah.
Can I feel your belly?
Yeah. But now you just know. You just know everything. And so
Yeah.
you don't ever have to ring and ask and
It's
talk
true.
about things like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that's a really good
popped out a
point.
baby.
You popped out a baby. How's it been? Well, he's 4.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been that long.
He's
Yeah,
feeding
That's
himself.
been really-
But you were right, though. I mean, as a from your realm where it's a sponsored athlete, especially, it's part of what you're not supposed to be doing, but it's part of what you do, right?
You have to.
So you have to.
Yeah.
But also, like you said, people like yourself, especially, it's so inspiring, right?
It
Because not just the places you go, but the stories you tell.
Yeah.
Right, and it just inspires people. And last night, you spoke at our film festival, and someone right away posted, I am inspired to go trail running.
Oh, cool.
And they're not. I don't think they're a trail runner.
No,
that's awesome.
right?
Yeah, but
That's
they
cool.
were like, I want to go trail running now.
Yeah.
But it's those things, and if you can make that difference in someone's life,
Absolutely.
because you know what that's going to do to somebody, probably.
Absolutely. And that's what I love. That's the best part about it, is that I know if they're inspired, then they're probably going to inspire someone else, and then they're going to inspire someone else. So it's a really nice cycle like that.
Right.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a shame that we're so in tune with our phones.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
And then one thing that you do, I think, and the rumors with you, right? It's
Oh,
like
okay.
you love children.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And my daughter had the opportunity to meet you last night,
Yeah.
and she was glowing from it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't, quote unquote, run, right? But you can do so many more things
Right.
to empower other people. Like you do a lot with children.
Right.
Exactly.
And little girls
Right.
and stuff like that. But that's got to bring just a whole new level of satisfaction and glow to your life, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it was one of the most honoured place I'd been in when the Fearless Frosty book came out, the
That's
CC
right.
Girls book. It was something that I was so empowered by. And it was a simple book. It's just a book of my story of my life, but it's for other kids, and it's a real life story. And, you know, that's why we wrote it in the first place, because there's so many princess books. There's so many, like, fairy tale books. And
Right.
they're not real. And
Yep.
so kids don't have real role models to look up to. And this is what I was saying last night, that we can all be role models and need to all be role models for the kids in our lives. And I think the biggest part of that is that, you know, I see that kids are afraid to fail, and we need to teach them that you can fall over and you can trip up, but it's not failing.
Right.
You know, you can still fall, but it's not failing, it's learning.
Right.
And so many kids don't do that anymore. They're nervous. They think they're going to get judged, or, you know, they're going to get teased because
Right.
they tried something new and they didn't succeed at it, and so they get teased about it. But when I was young, I tried everything, and
Right.
I didn't like everything. I wasn't good at everything, but I had a go at it, and I found the things that I was good at. But I feel like so many people don't have the opportunity to find that thing they're good at because they're too afraid to fail.
Right.
And we need to be out there saying, you know what, go and swing on that swing and try and do a flip off that, and you're going to cut your knees, and it's going to be messy, but I
That's all.
am...
Flipping off a swing, my kids
Yeah.
do not do that.
Don't do that. Yeah, kids don't do that. It is not safe. I'm just teasing.
No, but
but yeah, like go and trip up and fall over and try and do that little jump on your bike or whatever,
yeah.
and it's going to hurt. But you're
Right.
going to get up and you're going to go, oh, okay, I'll try it again,
Yeah.
or not.
Yep.
But at least you'll know.
Right.
And so I think that's a really important thing for me with the especially with young girls, because I know I was so empowered as a young girl, and I know, like, I've had a wonderful life, and it's been because my parents encouraged me to just spread my wings and go for it. And if I fell flat on my face, then they'd be there to lift me up and pick me up and push me on my way.
Right.
But like you said, you learn from those things, and I
I've
think
learned
that's
so
that's I
much,
think that's
yep.
I think that is the absolute biggest thing, because you know, whether, like, I remember as a little kid, because I'm old, and we'd build ramps for our bikes in our front yard. You
Hell
get
yeah,
like
dude.
5 pieces of 2x4
Yeah.
stacked on. You don't nail them; they're just
No,
loose,
they're
and you
loose.
put plywood,
Right.
and then you jump off and you wreck everywhere.
Yeah,
and
and you
you're like,
land flat. You didn't land on a downslope.
yeah, but then you figure out, okay, well
Well,
that
that didn't
sucked,
work.
so I got to do this. It was
Yeah.
unstable. So I think
Yeah.
not only, like, you figure things out,
Uh-huh.
and the other thing with what you're saying is, I think it's that not just failing, but like not letting people down, right? Because as a kid, I was the same way, and I know my kids you're afraid you're going to let somebody down,
Right.
Yeah.
and it's not like put upon them, but it's just the way society is,
It is.
right? It's like, oh, I don't want to let them down. I don't
Right.
want to
Yeah.
do that, because we even
Yeah.
talked to adults that have run trail races on the show, and like,
Oh,
I wanted-
Annie.
yeah, she's like, I just didn't want to let my crew down.
Right.
I didn't want my pacers down.
Right.
Yeah.
She was
know,
afraid
because you,
that she was afraid to run a mountain race because she's afraid that she's not going to hit the time
yeah.
cutoffs.
And I
Yeah, but all her crew and pacers would be like,
Right.
we love you. You're
Exactly.
doing awesome. Get moving. Let's go.
And she's got that power walk.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that overall, I think that's the kind of another underlying factor is the pressure you put on yourself, whether you're an adult or a child.
Yeah.
And so by you empowering these children, you know, boys, girls, whatever it is, I mean, it hopefully will put them into where, I'll say our generation, because me and Joel are older, but where you tried everything, and you either
Yeah.
found out you failed and you tried, or you didn't succeed and you tried again, or, okay, that's not for me, maybe I'll
Yeah.
try this other thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's things I could do well and not, and vice versa. So, I mean, I just look at you, and I mean, you've got, like, I looked today because I was curious. You almost have 70,000 Instagram followers.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's
Right on.
crazy.
That's
but
great.
But I think a lot of that has to do with the way you interact with them on social media. It's
for
positive,
sure.
but it's true.
Yeah.
It's real, even when you struggle.
And that's important because I am human. Like, we're all human and we all go through the same roller coaster. And
Right.
Again, it's it's your own mountain. Like if you can, so many people inspire me and they're like, that's inspiring to you? Like, when I hear of mums that have just had a baby and they're out running a block around, from their house while the baby's gone quickly to sleep and daddy's just come home, I'm like, you did what? You did that? You're amazing. And they're like, what do you mean? That's not amazing. I'm like, are you kidding? That's incredible. You see people out on the trail that are 60, 70, 80 years old, still crushing. You're like, wow, that is fascinating. Or the people that come in literally on the cutoff or 2 hours after the cutoff. And you're like, damn, you have had a mission out there and you are still going. That is awesome. And that's why I like being as honest and open as I can, because I'm still on a roller coaster just like everybody else, and we can all learn from each other, and that's important.
Well, I think one of the things that you do that I don't see as much of in social media, especially with like sponsored athletes, is you talk about your lows. Because you see a lot of people talk about their highs, and maybe they'll go through a block of no posts because they were going through that low.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you talk about like your actual, I quit drinking coffee,
Yeah.
or I
man,
didn't.
that was brutal.
Yeah, because you want your body to get back because you travel so much, or you're
Yeah.
burnt out, or whatever it is. But you talk about those lows, and I think what that, for me anyway, it makes you more human, right? It makes you like, oh, wait a minute, she's just like me.
Yeah.
Right.
She's addicted to coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should try it one day. It's awful.
Not try it.
No, you
No,
should
no.
try it.
Not gonna try
the
that.
first 2 days are horrific.
Yeah.
Terrible
like
headaches.
just non-stop headaches. The
fever,
sweats. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
seriously,
Just going
like
through
a proper
full
addict.
withdrawals.
Oh,
I do
yeah.
that when I eat a lot of protein.
Yeah. Oh.
You get the meat sweats?
Yeah, it was just like that, except it was without
except
coffee.
without that.
Yeah, but then literally a couple of days after, and I'm not even craving coffee.
Really?
And it's been like over 2 weeks
What
now.
if you smelt it? Would you
I
crave it?
smell it, and I'm like, oh, that smells nice, but I don't want to drink it.
So if I
Oh.
smell it, I would
Fascinating.
just be
It's
like,
all over
can I
with.
just have the pot?
Yeah.
I'm a coffee
I
guy.
think for me, I just got really tired. I was really fatigued, and my
Right.
body was in a really close point of going downhill really quickly.
Right.
Like I was right on the edge there, like kind of peeking over. And I was like, man, I have to stop here. And I just felt like my body was inflamed. I was tired. I couldn't run. My legs were like lead even before I'd start running. And so I just thought, okay, and I was kind of having this weird relationship with coffee. I was like, I want that, but I don't want that.
Really?
So I was like, okay, I'm just not going to have it. And it felt good. It really did feel good. And I feel now, like after 2 weeks of no running, no yoga, no coffee, just good, anti-inflammatory type foods, I'm finally feeling good again.
So
So
are
you're
you
gonna
going to
go back?
transition back onto
Yeah.
those? Yeah.
I don't know, like if coffee is really that good.
But
I mean,
wha-
it's amazing.
Okay, but when you're in the mountains next time and you've got your little backpack, you got your stove, I mean, isn't that part of the experience?
Yeah, but you can also make a nice green tea.
Yeah, I've heard of those
okay,
things.
so yeah.
Yeah. Or
chai?
you can make a nice chai.
Have you tried cheese curds?
Oh my
Cheese
gosh.
curds.
Yeah.
Is
I don't-
that the crunchy cheese chewy things?
Yeah, they're
Ooh,
squeaky
the
cheese,
squeaky
chewy things.
cheese.
that's been fried.
That's
I've
the deep
looked
fried.
at one. That's as close as I got.
You got to
one.
get closer than that.
You need to
I
get
don't
a
know. I
takeout
tried
order and get it up here.
My friends took me to Applebee's, which I didn't know
Oh,
what that was,
yeah.
and they were like, "Oh, it's this great
Oh,
restaurant. It's
no,
really
it's
fun." And so we got there, and I'm like, "This is." I mean,
It's
it's
kinda
nice,
gross.
but and they were like, "Isn't this wonderful?" They were
No.
completely teasing me.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And, yeah,
I was going to say, you need
but
new
that's
friends.
why they were saying that. They were like, "Let's go out for a great dinner," and they took me to Applebee's. I'm like,
Really?
looking around, I was like, "Oh wow, this is nice." And they got some mozzarella sticks.
Oh,
and
those
I
are
tried
different.
one of
Nope.
them. That
Okay.
was not
Okay,
amazing.
I'm
but
okay if you don't try those, but cheese curds, that's a big thing for the show. We're looking for a cheese curd sponsor. They're
Okay.
good. Yeah, you
All
really
right.
got to try them. If you're in
Okay.
town, Roosters, the beer we had last night,
Yeah,
they
they
have
do cheese
deep-fried cheese curds.
I mean, it sounds amazing.
It's truly amazing. It's so much
That
better
was so
than yak
nice
penis.
how you said that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's better than yak penis.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard.
Well, I
I've
didn't
heard.
try it, so.
So neither have I, but I've heard
Okay.
that.
We'll have to
Yeah.
get Max on the
Max
show.
King said that, right?
Yes.
He
Okay.
tried it.
Yeah, you need to ask him.
Yeah.
Bring
So,
in
but that's
some-
good too to get your body back in alignment is cheese curds. That's what I've heard.
That'll get her
Okay.
back to that edge where she's peeking
Yeah,
over the edge again.
like, what have I
Like,
done?
right away.
I'm so sick.
Yeah,
where the
exactly.
hell's the coffee?
Yeah.
I need to come back from this.
So you're leaving Utah when? Couple days?
Is it Monday tomorrow?
No, tomorrow's Sunday.
Tomorrow's
Okay.
Sunday.
So you're going to
On
Park
Monday.
City Run Company on
That's
Sunday.
right. That's what
Right.
we're doing.
And that's
Mhm.
Canis is awesome
You like
up
Canis.
there.
He's
a great
awesome.
guy.
Cool. Can't wait.
And then where are you leaving from Utah?
Where are you going
from
to?
Salt Lake City, I'm going to Dallas for a week, see some family there,
Okay.
and then to China.
Okay. So Dallas
China.
is that some downtime, just your time with
Well,
family?
because I'm training again
Yeah.
now, and I'm training for China, which is a vertical race,
Right.
and then Zagama, which is a vertical race,
Right.
and then Madeira, which has a lot of vertical in the race too. Then I'm not sure that Dallas is going to be the best for vertical training.
No.
So I'm going to try and find a gym and do some of those step
Right.
machine things.
Or just get in a really tall building and run up and down the stairs.
That's also true. Those
Yeah.
races are really great fun
Yeah.
if you ever feel like
They
doing
don't-
something like that.
That doesn't
no.
even
You can
sound
taste
fun.
blood at the top.
Oh yeah, that sounds fun.
It's-
Yeah,
it's
I'm good
kind
with
of
that.
fun.
That I'm
Okay.
good
Yeah.
without that. So yes, you're Dallas, then China.
Yep, and then Zagama, which is in Spain.
Yep.
Right.
And then Madeira, which is the Portuguese island out of Portugal, and it's the 55 Sky Race. 55K, yeah.
So you're pretty
And then
much. Are you booked for like the year? You know what you're doing till December,
yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not much spontaneity
Right.
in the year. You know, I know where I'm going to be pretty much every day of the year from now.
How much longer do you think you can maintain this, or do you want to do it?
I mean, physically, I think I could keep going as long as I was looking after my body and
Right.
taking care. But there's definitely lots of other things I want to do in my
Right.
life. I want to be a mum, so
Right.
that's going to put a halt to the racing.
Where would
maybe
you
not
want
running.
to anchor? Would you have an anchor place? Would you have a place where you would just like, okay, this is where we're going to be for a little bit, or would you kind of
Yeah.
do that nomad lifestyle with your kid?
I mean, I'd love to. I think I got a lot from being that
Right.
nomad kid. But I think initially in New Zealand, I'd like to be there with my parents with
Right.
the tiny baby. And
Yeah.
but you know, when they're that small, I mean, I can say this, and probably all the women out there with tiny babies are going to be like, "You idiot!" But it looks fairly easy's not the word I'm looking for.
Straightforward, maybe.
Straightforward of putting a baby in a pack. You don't need food because you've got your breast milk, and you just
Give him a
go.
gel. Just give him a gel.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
A few drips of coffee. Drip
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Oh, I'm going to be the worst mum ever. But I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying I think it could be possible of taking
Right.
the baby on
Exactly.
tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once they get to that point where they're walking, everything just
Goes out the door.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while they're tiny, then I think that could be really fun.
And especially for your parents to get that experience
Yeah,
too, right?
absolutely.
That's so that's like golden for
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. So yeah, I think that will
Are
happen.
they like? Are they on you about that?
My sister just had a baby, so,
So you're
now
off the
they've
hook.
forgotten about me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Good. And you're
It's
like
all
high
about-
five your
all
sister.
about-
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm like, thanks. It's a lot of pressure off me.
Here's
Yeah.
a onesie.
Yeah.
Yeah, as supportive as they all are about being me traveling and being away racing, they would love me to come home.
Of course.
obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of other things. Like, I'd love to do more with the Sisu girls, with the
Right.
girls empowerment projects, and maybe even do some race directing of kids races with the Sisu girls, and
Yeah.
go into schools, try and run an after school program,
Right.
and get some kids camps, and then we've also got our trail running adventures retreats, which
Right.
it's a really fun project where we can
What's that
and-
website?
trailrunadventures.com.
Okay.
Trailrunnerventures.com.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a really fun project, and we're offering custom trips. So I'm sort of interested to see what people come up with, if they come up with anything.
Where you
'cause-
get to go.
Yeah, because I think that could be really fun. Just sort of living someone else's dream.
Well,
Yeah.
do you have kind of like I didn't get to hear all this last night. Do you have pre-packaged stuff, and then do
Yeah.
you have something where somebody comes to you and says, "I want to do this"?
Yeah, so we have Costa Rica where we go
Right.
for a retreat. We have Bhutan, which is in the Himalayas, which
Right.
is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
We have Madeira for next year now.
Right.
And Greenland also, which is a sailboat running trip.
Really? So
Yeah,
you
which
ferry between the boat and the.
Yeah, the
That's
boat just
cool.
drops us off on the land, and we get out there and go running with
Have
the
you
polar
been?
bears.
Have you run there yet?
I have not, no. So I'm really
wow.
excited
You're
about
gonna
going
need
there.
coffee there.
Oh,
Dude,
well, that's
stop
okay.
enabling her.
Yeah,
what we
I'm
do.
gonna leave here and go and get a coffee.
Yeah.
It's
what we
over.
do.
My days are over. And cheese curds.
See?
Go down
Right
well.
there. That's
Yeah.
why she's my new favorite person.
Yeah. Yes. I win.
Yeah, high five.
So yeah, there's lots of different projects out there.
That's
I'd
cool.
love to just be in New Zealand and travel
Right.
around New Zealand and do stuff I don't ever get to do there because I'm always here.
Right. So I guess that brings up a good point. Is there something out there you would like to do or you haven't done?
Yeah, there's so many things. I really love making jewellery, and I'd love to get into doing more metal work with the
Are
jewellery.
you still selling that?
Yep, I
kind
do.
of?
My
Wow.
it's more of a hobby.
Right.
And the hard thing is that I don't travel with my jewellery box.
Right.
So when I'm on the road, it's very hard to
Like
make new stuff
right.
and put it online.
Are you
but-
buying stuff when you like you go somewhere? You're like, oh, that is cool. I need that stone.
Yeah,
and then you gotta
exactly.
ship
I'm
it back.
finding little gems along the
Right.
way, and so all my jewelry ranges they're very unique. There's maybe 4 or 5
Right.
of the one piece that I do, and that's just because I've collected that many beads from Morocco or wherever.
Wow.
Okay.
So that's a really fun project, and it's more of a hobby, but yeah, it's definitely lots of stuff I'd like to learn more about making jewelry.
That's cool.
I'd like to have a house. That would be cool.
It sounds cool, but
Yeah, it's not that cool.
not
Yeah,
that cool.
I would. What I would really like it for is so that even if it was just a tiny little log cabin that's open living, it's tiny.
Right.
I don't even mind about that. But I'd love the garden. I want to be able to plant flowers and
Right.
some veggies, and get up in the trees and build a little tree house and
Nice.
sit there and relax and
I like
that sort of stuff where you can really create something that feels like home.
Right.
Nice.
Oh, so do you want to do a lightning round before you
Yeah,
wrap
for
this
sure.
up?
That's
Oh,
exactly
no,
what I
this
was
sounds
thinking.
scary. What
it's
is
so
it?
scary too.
Oh no.
Because I was
So-
thinking of some stuff this morning.
So you have to close your eyes. No, I'm just kidding.
No, don't do that.
So you have a lightning round.
Don't you have a list?
Yeah, man, come on. You think I'm
Wow.
not prepared? We're in the
Oh my
we're in
gosh.
Studio 78. I got a filing cap. No, I'm just kidding. I got all kinds of stuff in here.
Spare
So our lightning round is where we ask you a question.
Yeah.
And it's just whatever comes to your mind.
Right.
And
Oh, like a one-word answer thing?
Kinda. I mean, if
Oh,
it takes
frightening.
more than one, we're okay
Oh,
with
okay.
that.
If we need to go down the rabbit hole, we will.
Yeah,
Okay,
like if you
okay.
say something and we're kind of like, wait a minute.
What?
Let's talk about that.
Because we've
Yeah,
made
okay.
mistakes on this show, believe it or not. We interviewed
No,
one of our
I don't believe it.
guests, and after the show, we were done recording. We said, "So where'd you meet your wife?" And he said, "Band camp." And we're like, "Oh my
Oh,
God,
wow.
we
right.
never
Like
touched
re-record.
that."
Who was that?
Gabe Jones,
That's
the inventor of
right.
trail running.
That's right.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So we got a
Oh my
little.
gosh, you've got
we
a
have
list.
a little list. We won't cover them
Is
all.
that our standard list?
That's our standard.
Okay.
So we can
Okay.
come up with more. But we
right.
want to do a little lightning round with you. So
Okay.
I'm gonna let
Great.
Joel kick it off.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Vegan, vegetarian, Metasaurus, or all the above?
All of the above.
Right on.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you had one kid, boy or girl?
Oh, I don't think I can answer that.
2 kids, boy or girl?
You're supposed to say boy and
And
girl. Or
Yeah, but I don't know if I want boy and
How many
girl.
kids do you want?
12.
oh my.
Holy, you
No.
need a lot bigger than a
Yeah.
small open
no,
cabin.
I definitely don't want 12. Two.
All
Yeah,
the-
one
okay.
boy, one girl. Why don't we go with
all,
that?
all the moms out there, when you said 12, just went, oh, girl.
God, what is she on about? They can imagine me in a little van with all these kids tied to me, drip feeding them coffee.
Drip lines of
Oh,
energy
that-
gels.
They're like little
Gee.
baby birds just
Yeah. Someone needs to intervene.
Yeah. What's your favorite band?
Favorite band?
Yeah.
Florence and the Machine.
Oh, nice.
She kills it. We went to see her at Red Rocks last year. Oh my gosh,
Right
it
on.
was incredible.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
always good. Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter?
None of the above.
Girl.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. That's so cool.
Snap. Oh.
No, I'm not
I was
on
gonna say,
Snapchat. No.
I don't
I didn't
do
go that
Snapchat.
far.
We don't do that either.
That was too
It's-
scary.
It's too confusing
Yeah.
for me.
Right.
It's too instant. It's gone
Right.
before you even know it.
Exactly. All right. Favorite guilty pleasure to listen to while you're running or driving? Music.
I don't listen to music while I'm running.
Okay.
While I'm driving, I really like Fat Freddy's Drop. Do you know them? They're a New Zealand band,
Can
like
you
a
sing
dub
us a couple
band.
things?
Yes, go ahead and sing it.
I can't. It's like very dubsteppy jazz mixture.
Okay, so it's Fat
Okay.
Freddy's
Freddy's Drop.
They just took a huge hit on iTunes right now.
I know.
Yes.
Everybody's
Thank you.
typing it in right now, going, "Oh, I
No.
got to listen to this."
Yeah, it's great. It's
Exactly.
really good. It's good driving music.
Okay.
What is your typical meal the night before a big runner race?
Chicken with some sweet potato fries and salad.
Okay.
It's what I eat like every day, all day, every meal.
Wow.
Because then I don't have to think about it. And I'm terrible at cooking. I
Are you?
burn everything.
Oh,
Everything.
that's
Even coffee, I can burn it.
That's bad.
That's sad.
That's really bad.
That's sad.
So speaking of chickens, me and Joel are starting a new race. That
Wow.
So when we're on the trail, we think of everything. And this morning we're on our run.
And there was chickens?
No, I used to have chickens in my
Yeah, me
yard.
too, and they got eaten by a polecat.
Oh,
What's a polecat?
It's a thing. I don't even know if it's a cat or a dog or a ferret, but it's in the UK, and they're vicious, and they ate rhubarb and custard and pepper and poncho. They were my chickens.
Oh.
And they left one head of rhubarb's head.
Oh.
Just kind of
awful.
that's what gang,
That was like
that's
like the Godfather, just leaving that head.
the
Yeah.
polecat gang.
Yeah.
That's a
The
warning.
Polecat Gang.
Is
That is a good.
Is it a band
name.
That's
name?
a band. It
Yeah,
is
it's
now.
right there. Write that on your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
I already got my band name.
Oh, what is it?
No Mas Pantalones.
Nice.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
It just rolls off the tongue because
All
you
right.
can have a whole crowd singing that.
So are we done with the chicken story?
No, the chicken
Hey,
story.
what happened with the chicken?
So it's a race we're going to
Yeah.
do. You build your own stroller or contraption, and you race by putting your chicken in there, and it's like a 1K down the street.
You're pushing it. It's like you're pushing the baby, but
it's a chicken in the
And if
stroller.
the chicken jumps out, you have to grab it and put it back
Well,
in.
we thought about that. No, we
'Cause you
thought
guys
about
didn't-
that.
we thought about
Oh.
that, and PETA would be all over this. So we're going to
Right.
make sure it's enclosed so the chicken will not get injured.
True. And you got to dress
Right,
the chicken
but
up.
chickens could jump out of a stroller without getting injured, I'm pretty sure.
I think so, but I know there's people out there
That wouldn't think
so
so.
because my
Right.
chickens were pretty agile. We did like a Spartan course. It was really cool, but that's another story.
You took a chicken with you on a Spartan course?
No, I made one in the backyard. Yeah, I
A
don't-
Spartan course in
yeah,
your
Yeah,
backyard?
for my chickens only.
For your chickens?
Yeah, it was intense.
Wow.
It was intense. Yeah.
Which one won?
Buffy.
Buffy.
Yeah, she was
Okay.
our Buff Orpington. She was our best my favorite chicken.
Is she,
I would hold her.
What happened to them?
Animals. I don't know if it was a skunk or
raccoon.
raccoon. It was,
Skunks?
Yeah, or raccoon out of the yard. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, it was ugly.
painful.
Yeah.
Feathers everywhere.
Joel, you can have take over for a minute.
All right. What's your favorite piece of gear?
Favorite piece of gear? My running shoes.
Okay. The ones you get on?
No, those little custom mongrel shoes that I have. Did you? No, you weren't there. No, they're just. Salomon have this great program where they make the custom shoes for
Right.
the athletes,
Yeah.
and so I've had the same style shoe for like the last 5 years. They just work perfectly, and the shoe
Right.
designer's like, we're not moving anything, we're not changing anything. They work perfectly.
Okay.
I wear the same pair of shoes for a whole 100 miles. Don't even swap them out. They
Right.
work great. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so
Salomon
those
shoes.
people that don't have access to custom shoes,
Yeah.
what is your second favorite piece of gear?
Next piece of gear,
doesn't
probably
have
my
to be running.
running pack.
Okay, running pack?
Yeah.
Which is
Your
The Salomon, is it the Skin
Skin Lab.
S-Lab Skin
S-Lab Ultra.
2 or 3? Yeah, it's that
Well, the-
little stretchy.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Skin Solomon pack.
Yeah,
right.
That's what we're going with.
yeah.
Morning or evening run?
Morning.
Morning.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite part of trail running? If you could pick one, what's your favorite thing about trail running?
Getting to the top of a mountain.
Okay. My turn?
Yep. You want one? This is good.
It is good. Guilty pleasure food.
Oh yeah,
Chocolate ice cream.
it's pretty basic, but
That
that's your
is-
your
Yeah.
go-to. Joel's an
Uh-huh.
ice cream guy.
I am.
Yeah,
He
I love
is.
it.
He-
The Ben and Jerry's fish food.
Oh,
I think
that
that's
one's
my absolute
that one's
favorite.
so good.
I mean, you can get like 17,000 calories from one of those tubs.
Right?
Those are so
I mean,
good.
can you
though.
imagine having one
That's-
of those in a 100-mile race?
That'd
If
be,
they could
No.
somehow keep it frozen.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah,
you'd run forever on one of those
Yeah,
things.
yeah, it's true.
that'd be so
great.
good, and it'd be easy on your tummy.
It would.
I think it would be.
No.
I like the fish food. I'm with you
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that one.
That one.
So what would the 12-year-old Anna say to Anna today?
I think she'd say, right on. Good work. You like hit some good peaks. You went on some massive big dark holes, but you got yourself back out of it. And I think, I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done things that I'm like, wow, that was stupid, or why did I do that? Or I'm so injured, this is awful. But
Right.
all things that I've learned from.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's awesome.
I think that's a good way to end.
All right, yeah. So
Awesome.
we'll let you off the hook there, but God, we really appreciate you taking the time
Yeah,
to be on our
it's
show.
awesome. Yeah,
The
my
Trail
pleasure.
Manners podcast listeners are super psyched. They were excited when they all heard that we were having you on the show.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm excited because you were in Studio 78.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so great. What a cool
and
place.
the first ever Ogden Trail Running Festival.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
gonna be
nice one. That was awesome last night.
really tough
was
to
fun.
top
Yeah.
going forward.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
And good
Well, I
luck
mean,
for
we
the
have-
race
We
today.
have some ideas. We talked about this.
Yeah, we
morning.
have some ideas.
Right.
Like
This-
the chicken Spartan race. You're
Yeah.
adding that next year, aren't
The
you?
chicken Spartan race.
Everyone can bring their own chickens.
Well, everybody's got to bring their own chicken,
Yeah.
their own cart, and they can dress up their chicken however they want.
Yep. So like
Right?
gold chain, flannel shirt, just
Yeah.
the top 2 buttons.
Yep,
I think that's
exactly.
really cool chicken
And
attire.
then, totally. And that little chicken cart can have switches, so he's just kind of like low
Bounces.
riding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
Sounds fun.
You'll
Yeah.
see it. It'll be
Yeah.
global before too long.
Yeah,
You'll
I
see
can
it.
imagine.
You'll see it in New Zealand.
Yeah.
The polecats are going to want in.
No, they're in the UK.
They're in
They're UK. They're going to want
Yeah,
in anyway.
we'll go there anyway.
You
Yeah,
know
they'll
the
be
U-
flying over
Yeah,
for the
UK's
chicken race.
The
Yeah.
polecats. That's like
I
a
love
gang.
that. It is the polecat gang.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, thanks for taking the time to
My
sit down
pleasure.
with us. We
Yeah.
really do appreciate it. And we can't
Yeah.
tell you just for ourselves what you mean to not just the sport of trail running, but
Right.
people in general.
Well,
I
thank you.
think you're
And you guys are doing a great job as well. It's
Well,
awesome to
thanks.
see such passionate RDs out there, trail manner people, really getting out there and
thank you.
encouraging your community and other communities to step up and put a good event on.
Right.
well, that's
Thanks.
that's the goal for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
but thanks for coming on. Good luck with the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As usual, we'll be following you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you
on
so
social
much.
media because that's
Okay.
the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us. I hope you have fun
Yeah,
while you're
great.
here, and good luck.
Awesome. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Trail Manners podcast. We'd like to thank Anna Frost for taking the time to come out to Ogden, Utah to be a part of the Ogden Trail Running Festival, as well as this amazing podcast. You can check more of Anna out through all her social media links and all the cool things that she's up to. We also want to encourage everybody to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Trail Manners, or you can swing by the website at trailmanners.com, pick up your swagging rights there on our store page, or hit us up on the contact page. Let us know what you want to see, who you want to hear, or even if you would like to be on the show. Until next time, this is Eric Manning with Joel Hatch reminding you, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Now go get it.